It's perfection on a fork. Seriously, it's so good. Hi guys, today we're making spaghetti and meatballs, one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to be whipping up a quick tomato sauce for my spaghetti and going to be using a beautiful mix of ground beef and sausage meat for my meatballs. It's an absolutely delicious recipe. I've made it many times, you're going to love it. Here we go. First off, let's dice a large white onion. I'm only going to need half of this. I'm just going to give this a fine dice and I only need half a white onion. Okay, onions diced. I'm going to go in with 2 cloves of garlic. 1, 2, and just give your garlic a nice fine chop. Alright, our pan is nice and hot now, so I'm going to give this a good glug of some good quality olive oil. And I'm going to go straight in with my onions first. Onions and garlic in. Some people put their garlic in before their onions. I don't do that because it can sometimes overcook and get bitter. It ruins the whole dish. Right, give this a nice little stir. We're just going for a simple tomato sauce here. The star of the show is going to be your meatballs. Beautiful. This is coming along now. Right, let's give those onions a bit of encouragement by adding a generous amount of salt, a good whack of pepper, and let's let them do their thing. So I think they are ready for our tomato puree. 1 teaspoon of tomato puree, and just let that cook out. Right, your onions and garlic have kind of like amalgamated together. They've got a nice saute going, right? The tomato puree is doing its thing. Now we're going to give it a really good whack of oregano. I like to do this while the saute is going. And a little bit of granulated garlic at this stage as well. You can add this after if you want. I like to do it at this stage, just so it all kind of amalgamates in with the onions and the saute. All right, I'm going to go in with my passata, which is just basically pureed sun-ripe tomatoes, and this just, because it's a midweek meal and it's a quick thing I'm going for here, this just makes my life so much easier. Right, I'm going to let that come to a simmer, but before I do, I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, and I am going to chop up a little bit of my basil, and we're going to add more basil later on. This is just so it infuses into that sauce now. Okay, got some water boiling here, lots of salt, and we're going to go in with our spaghetti. Let's go for a large portion. There you go. Right, done. Right, our sauce, this has taken 5 minutes to whip up, and I've let it simmer for another 5 minutes, and that's done. That's reduced down to how I want it. That's going to be perfect to coat my spaghetti. Like I said, the meatballs are going to be the star of the show. You don't need to do too much else to this sauce. That's perfect. Let's take that off the heat, leave that to one side. Right, now moving on to the star of the show, our meatballs. Okay, I've got some beautiful ground beef here, which is a meat to fat ratio of 80-20, which means it's just packed with flavor. Really enjoying this beef right now. And I've got some delicious Cumberland sausages, which are packed with flavor. And I'm just going to mix these 2 meats together to combine the most delicious, the most flavorful, the most awesome meatballs you've ever had in your life. I'm going to give it a bit more seasoning, and I'm going to put my twist on it. However, this is going to be delicious. That's just going to go straight into that part of my bowl, and I'm just going to repeat this step a couple of times, and the casing of the sausage just comes straight off. You don't even need to use a knife. Beautiful. Right, so like I said, I'm not going to do much to that sausage meat. That sausage meat is packed with flavor. I'm not going to do too much of that, but to my beef I'm going to add some salt. Lots of it, beef loves salt. A good hit of pepper, right? Some cumin, just a teaspoon of cumin, right? That just gives it a nice like earthiness and a depth in flavor. And here is the star of the show, the secret ingredient, nutmeg. whole nutmeg. You can get ground nutmeg if you want, but if you can get a whole clover, if you can get whole nutmeg, it's 10 times better. And this, I'm just gonna grate on about 1/4 of this nutmeg onto my ground beef. Right, now I'm just gonna literally get my hands in and just get stuck in. So give this all a big mix. Want everything combined, the pork and the beef fully combined together, and there's only one way to do that, and that's with your hand. Right, my pork and my beef is well combined, it's well seasoned. It just needs a nice hit of shredded parmesan, grated parmesan. Okay, let's get in there one last time and just make sure everything's fully combined. Okay, so I am going to put, this is a cold pan which is slowly heating up. I'm going to put a drizzle of olive oil at the bottom of the pan just to coat it so my meatballs don't stick. And as I roll up my meatballs, they're going straight into the pan, which is slowly warming up. So little tip here, make sure you've got a little bit of water on the side for wet hands. That way you'll form the best meatballs. And I'm just going for like a golf, maybe slightly larger than a golf ball, which I think is a perfect size for a meatball. Beautiful, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And go straight in. Right, that's 6 meatballs in the pan, cooking, packed with flavour, and we're only 10 minutes into our dish. Our sauce is already done. I'm just going to go and check on my pasta. Right, as you can see, our meatballs are cooking now. Let's see how they're doing. Just want a bit of colour on these. Yep, we're getting there. We're getting there. Beautiful. Just a bit of colour on every side. Roll them around. Right guys, I've got some beautiful red Leicester cheese here, which I'm going to be topping my meatballs with, and then chucking them in the grill for about a minute or two. And I might get a bit of stick for doing this stage because it's red Leicester, it's not Italian, but you know what? I know Italian food. I've spent so much time in Italy, I've eaten all of their cuisine, and sometimes you just got to pimp it up and do your own thing. And that's what I'm going to do today, whether you like it or not. Right guys, this is looking really good. I'm now ready to add my sauce, which was made earlier. So we're just going to go straight in with our sauce. Right, that looks delicious. And I'm just going to let our meatballs and tomatoes just do their thing. Right, this is really coming along now. It is almost ready. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my little cubes of red Leicester cheese, and some of you are going to give me stick for this, but trust me, it really works. I'm going to get these cubes of red Leicester. I prefer adding red Leicester to mozzarella. It's my little twist, and for me it works really well. My red Leicester's on, and I'm just going to give everything a good coating of my parmesan. Right, let's go. And that's my meatballs after 3 minutes under the grill. Right, let me grab my pasta. Okay, so I've got my beautiful pasta here, and I'm just going to scoop out some of this delicious sauce and just going to give the pasta a coating of that deliciousness. Okay, let's just get this pasta nicely coated with a bit of sauce. And that makes all the difference. And this is all flavour here. This is all for flavour. You don't want pasta that's not coated in this delicious sauce that we've made. Right, before I even serve up, this spaghetti is getting a little coating, and there's flavour every step of the way here, every step of the way. Okay, let's start with a nice generous amount of our spaghetti. Don't be stingy. You can't be stingy when it comes to pasta. And let's go with some of our beautiful meatballs. So proud of these. So proud of these. Just for garnish, some fresh basil. That is my spaghetti and meatballs made in about 20 minutes with beautiful pork and beef and rich meatballs, succulent and juicy, outstanding pasta, and there's flavour in every mouthful with this. And that's how you do Italian food, if you ask me. Okay, taste test time. I can't wait for this. Right, let's start off by just trying some of this pasta and just see how flavourful that is. So the pasta is al dente. It's packed with flavour. And let's try this meatball. Oh wow, it's so juicy. Nothing worse than a dry meatball, right? Outstanding. So good. It's perfection on a fork. Seriously, it's so good. Make these. Put your own twist on them if you want, but trust me, use the sausage meat, mix it with the ground beef. Really happy with that. And that is perfection on a plate. Seriously good Italian food. Guys, that's not just delicious. It's absolutely effing delicious. Try this one at home.